Hey, my name is PolishLynx, welcome to Narcissu 0. Let's go with that second chapter of the game, Future Dreams. Let's begin. The next year spring, The long summer ended and the autumn passed as well. It was the time when the icy winter wind began to blow gently. The time when the street held blooming cherry trees and the first year swarmed in. I attended the entrance ceremony for a second time. As expected, I'd been held back a year. Well, that wasn't surprising considering I hadn't attended half the time. But this is such a bore, I whined as I walked along the road to school, because I had no affection for the place. I understood I had gotten through one month the habit, but I was hating school even more intensely. Last year I was a first year, and this year I was also a first year. Luckily, I was not in the same class as my younger sister, but I also didn't know anyone in class. If everything had been normal, these guys would have been a year below me. I wonder if I should quit soon. To be honest, I didn't particularly want to graduate, and I didn't think it would change anything. Not just for the family business, but because I completely loved talking with all our residents. There were lots of lessons they had to teach, and I was genuinely happy and pleased to learn them. However, my dad complained about it, so I grudgingly went to school. And anyway, when the old men and ladies at home said, "You go to school," I was too weak to resist. Though adults say a lot of irritating things, you will bow your head in obedience to the elderly, even me somehow. Most of my friends hated the idea of taking up the family's business. In my case, I couldn't fathom that at all. Phew, it's already winter. The oppressive wave of school lessons had lifted, and finally after school had arrived. Apologize here. Suddenly inside the bustling classroom, all the students' voices could be heard. Myself included, of course, as some others called out to me.
Makie-san, よかったら一緒に遊びに行きます?
Well, today doesn't really work, so I can't.
そうですか。では失礼します、Makie先輩。
So saying with an exaggerated bow of his head, my classmate left the room with the others. Basically, there were a lot of people who used polite speech with me. They'd attach san to my name as well, and senpai in a given situation. I guess it's correct because of my age, but I think they take it way too far. Well, they must be trying to be polite to me. They couldn't just suddenly begin to speak casually to me out of the blue, and I didn't know why, but they believed that I'm a delinquent, which made it worse. Either way, I was friendless in my class, and very self-aware of that fact. I disliked school from the beginning, and nowadays the feeling was even stronger. Really, should I stop coming? These kinds of complaints just slipped out unintentionally. All I'll do is get held back, but I still don't want to think like a crazy hoodlum. As I started pondering this again, the time came for me to leave the classroom by myself. I turned my head towards the voice coming from behind me, and there was the figure of an unfamiliar girl. What is it? Oh yeah. While giving that vague answer, I took a look at my companion. What in the world? For a moment I thought she was from the neighboring class, because 1A was written her name tag, but she's in my class. For a new school term has started and it's already been a month, I didn't recognize her. However, she knew my name, so she must be in my class, right? Yep, exactly, man. Pool. It made sense once she mentioned that. I'm pretty sure that did happen, but I couldn't remember clearly since it was half a year ago. But her words, in the same class last year too, I sympathized. Beyond a doubt, it was a bit miraculous to go from thinking I knew no one to sharing a class with the same girl from last year. It must certainly mean something that she and I were similarly repeating the same class. What do you want with me?
これから帰るところだったら
If I were going? For some reason the girl remained silent, her face red. She continued to look at me with upturned eyes, and it became clear. For reasons beyond me, I guess she wanted to walk home together. That's what I guessed, so I answered in a soft voice. Well, wanna walk home together? For I live on the 2nd Avenue. What about you? Different direction. I thought we might share the same route.
私もそっちですから
That was the most excited she's been till now. I couldn't put my finger on it, but there was something unusual about this girl. Because it was the end of the school day, the route home was choked with students. A fine May sky, in such fine spring weather. There were lots like us who were also walking. Narcissu with a great soundtrack was once again. Seriously, they choose such great music here. However, while everyone around us seemed to be having fun, this girl still seemed nervous. Rather, if we defined walking together as being within 1 meter of each other, weren't we the ones who were different? She had wanted to invite me to walk home together, and there was a huge gap between us as we walked. I stopped walking and called out to the dispirited girl ambling behind me. Hey, you!
何ですか
Why are you walking so far behind me?
それはその
Her face was still red, and her head was still downcast. No, don't tell me that walking...
一緒に歩くの恥ずかしいから
Oh, come on. She said it. She just said it. And so, once again keeping her distance from me, she kept her head down and trudged along. Nope. I don't understand her. Her personality, or what she wanted in the first place. Also, she's been skipping this month while I've been attending school. Even so, it's odd that I didn't notice her until now. The only thing I did understand was that she was repeating a year just like me. In normal school situations, if you ask a teacher, they would tell you that you wouldn't have to repeat a year. In the case of my school, they said I'd advance even if I was absent 1/3 of the time if I did well on tests. And so, did you skip school too much as well?
かなり休んだから
Whoa, nice. You don't look that type. Because that's definitely not the reason. She skipped. On the outside, she appeared quite studious. By the way, what was your normal routine?
何って
In my case, I helped out at my house half the time, and the other half I hung out in a cafe.
喫茶店ってやっぱりマキエくん不良なんじゃ
Yeah, a bit. Hey, what do you mean I knew it? I'm not a delinquent for going to a cafe. For certain, my beloved cafe was more likely to be called a hoodlum hangout than a jazz cafe. For since I had spent time there since childhood, I didn't think of it that way. Anyway, what did you do while playing hooky?
もうサボったんじゃないよそれに休んだのは3分の1くらいだし
1/3. You mean to say, unlike me, your test scores were also bad?
ええまあそうなんですけど
Hafu? What does it mean? What the heck does Hafu mean? He doesn't know either. But hey, in any case, it's not normal to just miss that much.
それはその
That's the topic she probably doesn't want to talk about. Do you also help with family business like me?
そんなのじゃないけど
Just a while ago, she was trying to get the words out. For it was an ordinary and intentionally light conversation. She hung her head in what seemed to be loneliness. Soon, however, she slowly lifted her face.
ちょっと体調を崩しちゃって。
Your health.
その私あんまり体強い方じゃなくて。
I had just started this conversation to be polite, and now, after hearing such a desolate reply, I felt very guilty for having heard it. Well then, I tried to say something but couldn't think of anything. In this kind of situation, do you say, that's too bad, or maybe keep your spirits up? Among the elderly usually around me, I tried to act as an adult, but in practice with a real person in front of me, it was harder to find those imagined words. Surely, at a time like this, one should say something comforting or encouraging, even if it's just giving lip service for peace of mind. If I was an adult, I could talk with insincerity. If I was a child, I wouldn't think about hiding my fears. But I still couldn't finish becoming an adult. Unable to choose between either, I kept silent.
でもね、もう大丈夫だから。もう元気になったから、今度は休まずに行けると思うから。
This time she answered with a happy and energetic expression. As I faced that smile, that hesitating atmosphere was now gone. She was certainly shy at her core, but I think that she was so happy she forgot to be.
それでね、マキエくん。よかったら、これからも、
We?
お友達に。
At that, her face became red and froze again. Friends. I don't think that it had anything to do with like or dislike. Most likely it was because we were both isolated within the same class. Even if that wasn't the reason, being a repeater, I could still understand her feelings. Well then, it's nice to meet ya. I said this while extending my hand.
こちらこそ。
Shaking, she gave me a big nod and squeezed my hand tightly. Okay, the question is, what is her name? If you looked up, you could see the clear sky. The warm sunlight carried the feeling of spring. And within that, it seemed that the two of us somehow became friends. When we first touched hands, it was small, soft, and warm. Slowly the sun began to set on the day. The evening was over. It was time for us to take a break from our duties at the home.
ねえヒロシ、来週の予定だけどどうする？
Let's see. I'm certain that Hiromi is on meal duty.
じゃあ洗濯はお母さんとあなたね。
In the lounge tomorrow, the former TV room, my mom and I will discuss arrangements. That's right, from the beginning the Maki home hasn't had employees. All duties were distributed among the family. Now then, if I were to take a minute to explain our job. My whole family pitched in, with meals include it from the landlord's apartment. For we still couldn't be called a senior citizens home yet in the strict sense, everywhere there were places stumbling towards that conclusion. Well, there are other ways we resemble one. For instance, we started with 10 rooms at the Maki home, but now 6 more have been added on. And when you bear in mind that there are 3 people to a room, then as you'd expect, there's a lot of work to do. Definitely. Anyway, Mom, we're expecting any new residents?
確か今週に一人来ると思うけど、詳しくはお父さんに聞いてね。
Got it. Room 203 was empty, right? Currently the apartment building has 16 rooms. Out of these, my family uses one, and 2 are shared spaces. The remaining 13 rooms were used as dwellings.
じゃあお母さんは朝食の下準備に入るから、あなたも早く寝なさいよ。
Parting with my mom, I returned to my room. Once there, all I can do is listen to the radio and fall asleep. I don't have anything else to do, and even if I'm wrong about it, I don't care about doing homework. And I can drop out because junior high is compulsory. For if I stop showing up, it would be just as if I had dropped out. But I was still reluctantly going. More than anything, however, I watched my parents who had worked hard since my childhood. My true intentions, of course, was to pour all my energy into working for the home.
ねえお兄ちゃん
It was my younger sister Hiromi. A year younger than me and what you might call cheerful or energetic, a bit odd. She hadn't been like that since childhood or anything. For some reason she'd become noisy like that suddenly.
今日私見ちゃったよ。やるねお兄ちゃんも。
Eh. What are you doing?
もう照れちゃってすっごくいい感じだったじゃないの。
She saw you with the girl. Hiromi.
あ、ごまかそうとしてもダメだよ。この目で見たんだから。
For some reason she was super excited. Maybe this had something to do with the walking home with that girl today.
まあ、お兄ちゃんがデレデレするのもしょうがないか。草加さんは可愛いからね。
Kusaka. I see, that girl's name is Kusaka.
またしらばっくれて。でもさ、ちょっとあの子おとなしすぎるよね。お兄ちゃんとは合わないんじゃないかな。
You need to hush up.
あ、ひどいな。お兄ちゃんのことを心配してるのに。
It's none of your business and get out of those weird clothes.
もう変じゃないよ。遅れてるな。
Sure, why don't you get to bed? You have nothing. You have morning duty tomorrow.
はーい。じゃあおやすみ。
Well, can it be helped? I might not know anything about rock and roll, but she was wearing weird stuff. Wasn't that a school uniform? I might be wrong. There seem to be too many student meetings lately, and I'm the one worried about you. So it's Kusaka. I didn't know her first name yet, but at least I found out her last. I could understand to a degree my sister's criticism of her being too quiet. We would call her frail, and she gave off a gloomy feeling. And she was repeating the year for a different reason from mine. Perhaps that kind of personality was a disaster for school. No, even for fitting in class. No, that's not true. How can you even think that? The next day. I waited until second period was just about to end before deciding to head out to school. It was just after 10 AM. Of course I do head out with the home in the mornings, for that wasn't the reason for this time. It was just that I stayed up listening to the radio too late and overslept. It seems I unconsciously decided to continue playing hooky. I just finished talking about that to her yesterday and I wasn't planning on skipping. The end of class bells chimed while I was walking down the hallway. Second period had just ended, and during the break was the right time to slip quietly into the classroom. As I entered, the classroom was silent for only a second. Then the idle chatter of break time swelled up again, only a few stopped talking. Of course it becomes even more lively, but I can tell that there has been a change of atmosphere.
おはようございます、マキエさん。
Yeah, morning. Ever since this morning, I've been getting a sense of nervousness from my classmates' greetings. The ones who had given greetings to me were facing towards my seat. There was someone from class sitting in my place, chatting happily. They seemed to ignore that I had arrived, and were excited about the book that was open on the desk. Well, that's probably because by this time, they thought I'd be skipping today. And anyway, it's not in my nature to call out to anyone or get angry. Hey! Really nice seat.
はい。すみません。すぐに片付けますんで。
Calm down, dude. My classmate bowed his head over and over as he spoke. Wait, wasn't something a bit off? I more or less looked at my classmates as companions, but they didn't look at me the same way. Instead of seeming like he was trying to be polite, he seemed like he was afraid. I just got held back a year, man. What the heck did they think happened? It wasn't that I was a delinquent. I wasn't. But everyone around me acted like I was. Well, that could have been because of my well-known hatred of school.
おはよう、マキエくん。
Oh, morning. I looked behind me and there she was. Still the same, and with that same forlorn air, she toddled over to my place.
その今日は休まずに来たんだね。
Yeah, for I really hate it and I'd like to just cut class.
もうダメだよ。ちゃんと毎日来ないと。
It was awkward for her to say that, and she seemed to be embarrassed. For still with the same forlorn and hesitating feeling as usual. But at least she didn't attach son to my name or use polite language. Come to think of it, she's the only one in class to do that with me. For some reason that crossed my mind. Really? What? I noticed that the class seemed like they wanted to know about our situation. I was aware that I seemed more cheerful than usual, and so did she. And when two people talk, it's pretty normal for others to be interested.
どうかしたの？
Oh no, it's nothing. For I don't know her well, I think she's a bit oblivious. At last, the tedium of lessons ended. Like yesterday, we left for home together. Of course, when I say together, that doesn't mean we walked side by side. As ever, she walked with a little space between us, just like yesterday. Hey you.
なんか言った？
No, well, why don't you walk any nearer?
ごめん。
She shuffled a little closer as she said that. I don't know if she was embarrassed, but we were so far apart I could barely hear her reply.
でもあんまり一緒にいて噂とかになると迷惑かもしれないし。
Rumors. What?
それは。
That's embarrassing for you, right?
恋人同士とか。
Is she panicking? She's certainly a pretty amusing girl. That reminds me. Wait, no! It's Kusaka. That's alright?
草加陽子って言います。
Yoko. That's a nice name, actually. Whoa, Yoko, huh? That's a cool name.
そうあんまりそんな風に言われたことないから照れるね。
Well, I said a nice name as well, so... Two people think that. The embarrassed words of this girl. I mean, Kusaka. Continuing on, we came upon an intersection before us. If I turned, my house would be nearby.
確か蒔絵くんの家ってこの辺りなんだよね。
Yeah, just after the light. The Make home. The one that looks like a senior citizen's home.
あ、やっぱりそうだったんだ。変わった名前だからもしかしてと思ってたけど。
Kusaka talked while we crossed at the signal. And so we continued until we were in front of the home's entrance. Hey, listen, your home isn't around here, is it?
ちょっと蒔絵くん家を見たいなって思って。
Well, I guess that's fine, but there's nothing interesting here. Even if it wasn't exactly that, but there were just old men and ladies to see. She was a strange girl. Because it was just before dusk, you could see everyone from the Make home in the courtyard. From the old man basking in the sun, to the old woman sitting on a seat smoking a pipe. And among them were those taking naps on benches.
皆さんお元気そうですね。ってあれは長森のおばあちゃん？
Wait, you know her?
あ、うん。何回か病院で会ったことあるの。
She waved, recognizing a familiar face, and the old lady returned her greeting in the same way. I was sure she lived in a room 205.
ねえ、蒔絵くんっていつもここのお手伝いしてるんだよね。
Pretty much, but it's not as easy as it looks.
例えば
I thought she was actually interested from her shiny eyes. However, she was an unusual person. Normally people were not interested in the jobs of a senior center. As I thought that, I gave her a quick rundown. I continued with the basic explanation. In short, I told her about the duties of an apartment manager and the heavy responsibilities you feel. Unlike most places, the elderly lived here, and so you had to provide food, and they lived far away from their families. Just with those considerations, the workload increased enormously. You could argue that these things weren't real work. Then again, you could argue that daily chores count as work. And so, for some reason, Kusaka should listen to these trivialities, nodding and making sounds of agreement. There, that's enough. You hurry home.
もうまだ来たところなのに。
We've been talking a long time, and I should go and help in the house.
はーい、わかりました。
The disappointment. I got the feeling she replied reluctantly. I don't know what was so fun, but I can't kill time with her indefinitely. Bye, Kusaka. See you tomorrow.
マキエくんも学校サボっちゃダメだよ。
He can't. Right now he has a reason to go to that school, I believe. Alright, I got it. On the way to the coursework, Kusaka turned around over and over and waved. And I waved lightly back. Really, she was an odd duck, to have such a serious interest in this manual labor. If it were a cooler job, I could understand. The next day, outside my window, the cloudless sky once again extended out. More than blue. Here and there it was faintly white. It was the light blue of a spring sky. That was a good sleep. I took a big stretch and quickly changed into my uniform. The warm sunshine came through the window, really giving a wonderful feeling of spring. Still, I feel a bit sleepy. This was the result of the new resident. I was up late last night working on the preparations. And because I didn't sleep much, I thought of skipping school in spite of myself. As usual, when I thought of the girl, of Kusaka, I hesitated. What is this? We've only just met and now... I can usually be relied upon to skip, but I just changed the uniform while thinking it's a bother. Then I left my room yawning and passed the hairy figure of my father. Did something happen? I was sure that the new resident was expected tomorrow. Hey, when is the new resident coming?
明日の予定が今日に変更になったようだ。
Change today? What time?
さあ、午前中には来るんじゃないかな。
It was a bit of a flip answer from my dad, but that was normal. That was a very vague answer for a moving in date, however. Arrival times are vague, so a one-day inconvenience is almost good. People have been a whole week early or late before. Can't be helped. I uttered a small grumble and took off the uniform I just put on.
っておい、ヒロシ。お前また手伝うつもりか？
Who else can help? We are in the middle of fixing the roof.
そりゃまあ助かるけどさ。学校はどうすんだよ。
In a sense, it was the response of a good father, and I answered the way I always do. Don't worry about it. For now, let's mend this leaky roof. So quickly changing into work clothes, I headed towards the roof. The refreshing spring sunshine shone down. Or perhaps I should say, we were hot from the reflected rays upon the roof. Despite it being May, we were sweating. In the middle, I began to use the buckets and the deck brush on the roof. Our goal was to fix the leak in the roof. It was fine during ordinary rain, but sometimes there were heavy storms and typhoons. That's when it leaked. It didn't start out as a big job, but the third floor was a bit of a horror, as expansion had followed expansion. I reinforced parts with galvanized sheet iron, and on top of that I had to plaster it with coal tar for more reinforcement. Though it smells a bit awful, it's the fastest way to fix things up. Phew, that's about it. I let out a small breath and a big stretch. Later, when the rainy season came, it would stay dry. I picked up my toolkit and descended from the roof. Now then, next. I turned around, surveying the home. If I was in the mending mood, there was no end of things to do. Our usual methods were slapdash, makeshift repairs on whatever was most in need as they came. Come to think of it, the paint job on the home is fading. Looking around on the thought, my mom and dad didn't think about that much, but I was embarrassed that our sign was rusty. So this time I set off to paint the entryway of the apartment with rust-proof paint. This paint thinner stinks. Slap, slap went the brush as I painted the signboard. Can't think of it, the last time a new person came with the signboard all faded. The letters on the signs could be read, and they got lost in the neighborhood. Certainly at a glance it didn't look too much different from a regular apartment building. For newcomers, they probably wouldn't notice and pass on by. Not to mention the many non-resident visitors who would probably do the same. I continued to paint in a hurry, worried about school. I hadn't planned on skipping, but that's what she'd think. Well, Kusaka, considering yesterday, I feel bad. It's just that every time I really didn't care about skipping school. That's what I thought about as I was painting. Huh? Hey, you... Before I could look back, Kusaka appeared in white summer clothes. Reflexively looking at my watch, I saw it was 10:30 in the morning. I had been working for over 2 hours. Listen you, I'm Kusaka. Shouldn't you be in class? Hey, what are you trying to hide by laughing? Could be that you've been out of school all morning? Oh my god. Considering how different your clothes are, I'd say you changed into hooky hot couture. Haute couture, right? Kusaka evaded again with that embarrassed laugh. But if she looks like that, then she probably didn't skip because of her bad health. You wanna help paint? No, this is very difficult and you'd get your clothes all dirty. Kusaka, for reasons I do not know, just watch me paint. Sometimes she made a funny face from the paint thinner, but she... Give me a second, because something dropped on the floor and I have no idea what that might be. Maybe some part of the chair? Oh, that thing. Okay. Nothing important really. Sometimes she made a funny face from the paint thinner, but she made no excuse to leave and stood next to me motionlessly. Painting couldn't have been that amazing, but she just kept smiling. Truly, an unusual person. Then, at last, the signboard was pretty much painted. Phew, that's done. Maybe. When you don't have any help, you get good at stuff. I was done repairing the roof just now. Every day I handle food and laundry for 30 people, as well as any electronics jobs. Now that this is done, there is nothing much left to do. With these words I glanced at my watch. It was just 11:30. That's a difficult question. Do you want to go, Kusaka? While saying this, Kusaka struck a bit of a thinking pose. Come to think of it, she must have left school early. And if she left early, wouldn't it be even more difficult if she came back late? Okay, I've decided to skip today, and you are included.
決定されちゃった。
And so, therefore, I think I will go out for a bite.
いいのかな。家で自習しないで。
Then let's go, Kusaka.
って私も一緒？
Seriously, I'm surprised to see such a happy face.
いや、ちょっと急だったもんでびっくりしちゃって。
That's a little funny, after changing clothes and coming here. Listen, you are playing hooky too, and you are wasting time.
まあそうなんだけど、本当にいいのかな。
After that, Kusaka kept repeating, "Is it okay?" over and over while toddling behind me. I remember her saying last time we talked that her grades aren't that good. But it could be that deep down she was a serious student. She might be. Alrighty, let's end the episode here. That was a pretty long chapter, and that is actually good. So, tomorrow we are going with chapter 3 called Crosswalk. Alrighty, we'll see where this is going. Hope you enjoyed it, and see you in the next one. No, but Kusaka is a really great person, I believe. I like her basic attitude to life and so on. Alright, see you in the next one tomorrow. Bye bye. If you want to get informed every time I upload new videos, click that annotation floating above the text, subscribe to never miss a video. To watch one of yesterday's videos, click that annotation around video on the left. Annotation around the cover of the game, which is located on the right, will get you to the playlist of this series that is currently being uploaded to the channel. When it comes to following me in other communities, all the links to these are in the description.